Hey everybody, we're back in the booth today working on the CJ5 body tub again, and we're starting to do our filler work. Now if you remember, there was a soft top on here, an original soft top. We had a lot of holes we had to plug up, and I just gave everything a very thin wipe. We had a big wrinkle in here that we straightened out. Some pitting and stuff that I filled up. There's a lot of, I don't know if you'd call it controversy, or there's a lot of talk about body filler, and there's some guys that come in and they're like, I don't want an ounce of body filler in my project, and it's not really realistic, but a lot of guys feel that way. Remember, we cut this whole section out here. There's just a very, very light coat there, and we left all the rivets for, not the rivets, the spot welds for where the toolbox goes in. If you make a body too smooth, they look kind of funny. So we're trying to leave all the original spot welds, and you know, again, things like the antenna, a thin wipe of filler on there is not the end of the world. It's just a fact of restoration. It's a very useful tool if you use it correctly and you don't make shapes and build beads and make the form into the body out of filler. If you just use it as it's intended to be used, it works great. A lot of guys don't see that, and there's a lot of shops that cover their entire body with filler, you know, a 1/4 inch thick, and then they call that a vehicle. That's just not the way it should be. Very light, very light coats. We had a lot of holes to plug up there. There was a very bad crease here, but listen. Just a very light coat. Same thing on the other fender. We had a little bit of trouble in the front again. And this is the manner that filler should be used. You should not try and make shapes out of it. You shouldn't. It should be, you know, I don't know, 50 thousandths thick or something, just to fair out any trouble you have. And we're going to come over here, and a few guys were asking what I use. For the most part, I use the Evercoat Rage Ultra. And there's the cream hardener. Sometimes I will use Duraglass, and you can see that's fiberglass filled. And as it says there, I don't know if you can see that, it's waterproof, and on some areas underneath the body, or you're going to take a lot of spray off a wheel or something, I'll use the Duraglass, and I mix everything on an onion board. These just peel off, and you get, you know, hundreds of sheets there. Don't mix your filler on a piece of cardboard. Don't take an old box or something. When you mix it on something porous like that, it just takes all the oils and the chemicals out of the filler that you need. So this is a waterproof paper here, and it won't take the good stuff out of your filler. So that's just what I do. I've got a couple rolls of sticky paper there, and some sanding blocks, and I've seen a lot of times where guys will put filler on and then sand it all off, and then put more on and sand it all off, and they'll go nowhere. So put it on, hand sand it. I do 99% of my filler work I hand sand. I don't take a DA to anything, and we'll go over and fix some pitted areas. I think I can show you. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but that passenger floor is very pitted. Now we could sit here and we could put 8 or 10 coats of filling primer on there and try and fill that, and it costs a whole lot of money and take a whole lot of time and a lot of sanding. Or we could give that just a ever so slightly thin coat of filler and it'll look like $1,000,000. So don't get hung up on using body filler. Use it correctly. Don't overdo it. And just fix the little areas where maybe you've welded a seam or you've put a patch panel in. It's not the end of the world to use body filler, again, if it's used correctly. So we're going to continue on. I've got a few more areas to do, and it won't be long before we start shooting primer. So I'll be back with you in a little bit and show you where we're at. Okay guys, I'm back with you here. I've got the lights turned off because I think you might be able to see it better. We've got a few areas that we took care of. We had one little real pitted and dented area right there I didn't pick up on before. And everywhere it was heavily pitted on the floor, I had that filled in. Like I say, that's going to help us save multiple coats of high build primer. And let's see if you can see this or not. I'll try and zoom in right there. Hang in there. Okay. Now, as you can see, these are all factory spot welds. And that's just how the vehicle came from the factory. They didn't put these together like you'd put a Pierce Arrow or a Duesenberg together. Now stuff like that, I believe, should be left. There's a lot of guys that take and they completely cover the whole vehicle with Bondo and they take that away and it almost looks like a plastic or fiberglass body or something when you're done. If you want your Jeep to look right, leave the factory spot welds. Okay, there's a few more in the back you can see. Here and here. It starts to look funny when they're all missing. Now on the floor, we had a lot of pitted areas here. We're not trying to build any surface or anything. These are just very pitted areas. And again, we'll save on our primer. And if we come around, I took a little bit. Now this is an area I would use the Duraglass. We had a lot of metal that was really distorted and stuff, and I stretched that and shrunk it and put it back into place. This is super thin. It's just covering in the areas that were pitted or scratched real bad. This Duraglass, you know, there's going to be a spare tire carrier on here and everything. It'll all get covered anyway, but we want it to look good, and the Duraglass will hold up better in that particular instance. Okay, I had to put some filler in the toolbox because, you know, we replaced the floor underneath, and basically the inside of the Jeep is the outside of the Jeep. So when you put a floorboard in, that's the inside of the toolbox. So you got to metal finish both sides of it to make it look right. There's that one area where the antenna was. Just a tiny bit of filler. Like I say, we're not trying to make shapes or anything. We're just taking care of welded areas. And everything is just about ready for another coat of epoxy. And I'm cleaning right now, cleaning the booth, cleaning the floor, cleaning the body, spinning it around, getting every last little bit of sand out, because we don't want to start spreading that around. And in real time, I think it's probably been about 3 full days to get all the body work done, sanding and priming and stuff like that. So It doesn't happen overnight. You've got to put the time in. You've got to stay with it. It does get to the point where you want to go crazy and pull your hair out. You're just sanding and putting filler and taking care of all the pitted areas, and it does make you want to go crazy. But stick with it and sand everything out nice and smooth. And when we're done with the second coat of epoxy primer on here, you'll see what I mean. It will be a completely different looking Jeep. So it takes a little bit to get it to this point, but well worth it. We're gaining on it. It won't be long before we're shooting color, but we still got to do our priming and sanding and stuff. So hang in there, and I should be able to get at least one good coat of epoxy on this before we call it quits for the day. So let me finish cleaning up, and we'll be right back with you. Okay guys, we got everything cleaned out of the booth. We got it vacuumed out. Got everything washed down with this is an RM product that I use. It's 901 pre-paint cleaner, and everything gets wiped down with lint-free cloths, and everything is cleaned. All the components are ready for another spray of epoxy to cover up all the bare metal and all the filler that we put in. So we'll take care of all those spots. We'll give everything another coat, and that way we'll be sure we have no trouble anywhere. A lot of bare metal over in here, and all those areas need to be taken care of. So I'm going to make a mix, and we're going to put another coat down in just a minute. Okay guys, we got our mix. It's been sitting and inducing the way it has to. Let's go into the room here. Okay, we got another quart of our gray epoxy, 1-to-1 mix. Give it a final stir, and we will send it through a filter. Always use a filter, even if you're just shooting primer or something. Always use a filter. You don't want any junk in there. And I've got Maria out here today, so we'll try and get you some footage of the actual paint going down. But let me get set up, get everything closed up, get the fans on, and we'll meet you out in the booth. Okay guys, we're finished with our second coat. We have all our filler covered up. We will check for any areas that we missed or anything, make any adjustments, and then move right into our primer. And then we'll lay down maybe 4 coats and start doing some sanding and see where we're at, and keep priming until we are happy with our substrate, and then we will lay down the Prairie Gold. So things are coming along nicely. I am gonna scoot out of here now and let everything dry, not make any dust in here, and we'll see you next time. So thanks for watching, and priming will be next. So I'll catch you on that video.